What is a CTA? Aaron and I are so excited to have Laura here tonight to discuss this. Laura is the Executive Director of Western Wake Tennis Association. Western Wake Tennis Association won the Charity Event of the Year in 2010, the Tournament of the Year in 2017, and in 2015 won the USTA North Carolina, USTA Southern, and USTA National Community Tennis Association of the Year Award. Laura told us not to include her personal awards, but I think they're really cool. She won the World Team Tennis League Director of the Year in 2014 and received that award from Billie Jean King. She also won the USTA North Carolina and USTA Southern Spirit Award. And with all that, she's also a 4.0 tennis player, so we can't wait to hear from her. So Laura, can you tell us your tennis background?
I started playing tennis when I was 41. And my backdoor neighbor had played a lot of league tennis, and she said, "Hey, come on, why don't you do this? You like sports, you're athletic, come on out." And we went out and hit the ball. And I actually went to bed that night and kept seeing the yellow ball coming at me, thinking, oh my gosh, that was so much fun. And then what happened right after that, within a year or so, another friend of mine asked me to help do a charity tournament that was for hospice. And she said it's for the local CTA. And I'm like, well, I don't know what a CTA is, but I love, doing fundraising and volunteer work and everything. And I was just so amazed and excited. Not only was tennis such a great sport, but there was so much that you can do with tennis and through tennis for a community. And so that made me really excited about that. I mean, in fact, if you think about tennis, you can be 5 years old or 95 years old. You can start at 41. You can be a high school player or a college player or a weekend warrior, or you can have an intellectual disability and play tennis. You can be in a wheelchair and play tennis. You can wear a dress. I mean, there's just so much that you can do with tennis that truly sets it apart from other sports. So at 41, when I started playing, I was locked in.
So can you tell us exactly what a CTA is?
It's a USTA brainchild, and it does stand for Community Tennis Association. And basically, the USTA is a nonprofit, and they're kind of, the governing body of tennis. And I think a lot of people falsely believe that USTA makes their money off of league tennis, but their revenue is generated at the US Open each year. So we have our fingers crossed that something happens at the US Open so that not only can we see tennis on TV, but they can also generate some money. But their mission as a nonprofit is to promote tennis and grow tennis. And they correctly realized that they couldn't grow tennis in Cary, North Carolina or Raleigh, North Carolina from their office in New York or now Orlando. So they decided that they needed to have more boots on the ground, grassroots opportunities to grow tennis. And then, like anything, I mean, for example, your podcast is awesome because of the people in your podcast. And that's the same way with the Community Tennis Association. The Tennis Association board and staff, they're the ones that kind of make the Community Tennis Association what it is for the community. And Western Wake's focused on outreach. So we do a lot of outreach with kids, beginner programs, abilities tennis volunteers and programs, wheelchair tennis. We have a breast cancer survivor program. We also have raised over $250,000 for Transitions Life Care. And then we've done youth scholarships every year. And we operate with a volunteer board. Our board is made up of 7 executive board members. And then we have advisory board members. And then we have contractors. And then we have 2 full-time and 2 part-time staff. And we do a lot with just that small group of people.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of work for a very small paid staff, but it also sounds like a lot of people just to manage that are all volunteers, which I'm sure is not easy at all.
Yeah, I had no idea with all the programs you guys run that, for example, the president is rolling off every few years.
Although I'm not letting my current president go, Holly. She's a gift. Here this person, she comes in and we have all these fun things going on and we're looking really good. And now she's a pandemic president, but she's doing a great job.
One of the things that I thought about when I met you in person, I know that you were talking to someone when I saw you at the courts one day and was wondering if your opponents recognize you on the courts, and do they like to complain to you? Do they like to talk to you during the match and like to, give their opinions on things that are going on in the area?
Oh, that's funny. This is definitely true. There's people when they see me or Janie or our board members, they definitely see an opportunity to pass on their frustrations or complaints or their suggestions for maybe a way to do things better. And, I think for me, the only way we can fix something or look at something is to know that there's a problem or a frustration out there. So I am grateful for people telling us respectfully what their frustration is, or maybe their good solution is. What a lot of people don't realize is the number of puzzle pieces that go together to make a USTA league or any type of league happen, because we're playing tennis on somebody else's courts. And by the way, we're playing in like 9 different facilities, and we have USTA rules that we have to abide by, and all these things need to go into this package. We want people to have a great league experience. We don't ever want them to go out there and not have fun because of something that we did. So I do appreciate people bringing up, like I said, respectfully, what kind of frustrations they have. There are times, though, that's going to be maybe a little more intense than I want to do when I'm out for my recreation, or Janie or whoever from our board. So basically what I would say, is, why don't you shoot me an email and I'll get back to you. I'm quick about getting back to people, and we can, review this.
I can tell you Laura is very responsive over emails. So Laura, how can adult players become involved in their local CTA?
We need a lot of people to put all this together, and we need people who love the sport and who love their community to help us, run all our programs and all we do the best that we can. So if they're interested, they should contact me. We actually have a volunteer form. When we look at people that are higher up in our organization, meaning on the executive board or our staff even, they're people that have come through our programs or volunteering in some way. So, get involved. My philosophy is we always want to make our volunteers the best volunteer they can be. And that is, if you love tennis, then that's the first step. This is a great place to volunteer. We have a really good website, and it talks about all the different things that we do. And I think by looking at the website, they could see, hey, I can volunteer for abilities tennis, or they have these beginner programs. Hey, do they need help with that? And we do. We need a lot of volunteers to put this all together. It doesn't just happen. It's about the people.
They do have a great website. It's westernwaketennis.com, and we'll put a link to that in our show notes. And also the part I really like about their website is the Stump the Ump section. Laura, who is it that responds to those?
Our ump is Rebel Good. Western Wake Tennis back in 2015 won the National CTA, Community Tennis Association of the Year, and we got to go to New York City. And Rebel Good's also from North Carolina, and he does Court of Appeals in Tennis Magazine. Mm-hmm. And we were like, hey, will you do something for us locally? And he said, absolutely. So we actually have a job for him, and we're always looking for questions, but your questions go right to Rebel Good. And then we put one in our newsletter every month.
Laura, we know you volunteer a ton at the local, state, section, and even national level, and are on numerous committees. Are you on a committee that is a lot of fun?
I was asked to be on a committee for Southern, and it's the best committee. I'm just telling you, I was on the committee for 2 years, and now I'm the chair, and it's the awards committee. Can I tell you about one of my favorite awards recently?
Please do.
Last kid is like a sophomore at University of Alabama, and he's in a wheelchair. And so when he started his speech, and I'm going to have to take a breath here because it's not easy. He started his speech, and he said, I was in my accident. I was in it, and now I'm in a chair, and I was in a really, really dark place in my life. And then he said, I'm thinking, I'm just going to stand up here and cry. And then he said, and then one day, these 2 chicks rolled up to me in their wheelchairs and said, hey, do you play tennis? And he said, we do that? And now he plays tennis at the University of Alabama, and he does a ton of community outreach, just an inspiration, just so awesome.
That's a really cool story, and he sounds like an incredible person. For my last question, I know this year has been different than others, but what do you normally enjoy about being part of a CTA?
If somebody moves here from a different area, I mean, we do everything we can to connect them because it's their social outlet, and they can meet people right away. And what's really neat is when somebody that we've connected comes up to me maybe a year later or 2 years later and thanks us, for, hey, thank you. I've got these great friends now, and it's because you all helped get me connected. So that feels good. We get a lot of feel-good stuff too. We get way more feel-good stuff than the complaints.
That's good.
Erin and I can't thank Laura enough for talking with us. You can definitely tell she is passionate about the game of tennis. I've learned from Laura that tennis is a unique sport, and it is pretty amazing all the things you can do with tennis and through tennis for a community. Especially after the pandemic, I really encourage everyone to volunteer and show some love for your local CTA. If you'd like to see a picture of Laura, please check out our Facebook page, which is Second Serve Podcast. Thanks so much for listening, and hope to see you on the courts soon.